What if I told you there is a home buying program where you had no down payment, no PMI, no closing costs, no type of fees, no points, no application fees or anything like that. They didn't care about your credit score, and they had the lowest interest rates possible with the potential to buy down the interest rates even further. I'm here to tell you that program does exist, and it's called NACA. NACA. So in this video, I'm going to tell you what NACA is, all of the benefits from it, the different requirements, and then I'm going to talk about the cons. So first, we'll go over everything, and then we'll talk about if this is actually something that you should do. Hey y'all, welcome back. So if you have seen my videos for the past year or so, you know that I want to buy a house, and you also know that I've had some ups and downs with this home buying journey. So right now I'm just trying to think of like creative ways that I could still possibly get a house. So earlier this year I learned of NACA. I had never heard of it, but NACA stands for Neighborhood Assistance Corporation of America, apparently. So it's a nationwide program for home buyers. You don't have to be a first-time home buyer, but you can't currently have a mortgage. So you could have owned a home before, but you just can't have a mortgage right now to be able to utilize NACA. Or is it NACA? I don't know. NACA. That's how you spell it. Not quite sure how you say it. So NACA is primarily targeted towards low income to moderate income households and or people who have been historically discriminated against in the housing market. So when I first heard of it, I went to their website and I went through everything that was there, and then I also did my own YouTube research of binge watching videos on YouTube trying to see what other people thought of it. And they have like some incredible benefits or reasons why you would want to use them. So number one, no down payment. For a lot of people, you may think that you need like 20% down payment for a conventional loan. You don't really need 20%, but I think you do need at a minimum of like 3 or 3.5% for a conventional loan. But with NACA, you don't need any down payment, so 0% for a down payment. And depending on how expensive your house is or how much it's worth, a down payment could be tens of thousands of dollars, but with them, it's $0. So that's one good benefit. Another thing, no closing costs. Again, your closing cost is dependent on the value of your home, but you know, the closing costs could easily be like $10,000 easily. Like, again, it just depends on how much your home is worth. Again, you're saving thousands of dollars by not having closing costs with them. As far as the qualifications to use NACA, like a lot of lenders, they want to know your credit score. With NACA, they don't care about your credit score. They don't ask about it. All they care about is, have you been employed for the past couple of years? Have you been able to pay rent for the past year? They care about those type of things, but they don't care about your credit score. And for large groups of people, your credit score is what's stopping them from being able to have a house, but NACA doesn't care about that. Also, no PMI. If you've never heard of that, PMI stands for Private Mortgage Insurance. So as I was saying earlier, a lot of conventional loans, you may think that you need 20%. But let's say that you only put 5% down. Then you would have to pay PMI for that 15% until you reach 20. So it's really like the lenders are scared that you're not going to be able to pay your mortgage. So they make you pay PMI until you hit 20%. But with NACA, you don't have to pay PMI. And PMI, again, it depends on how much your house is worth, but PMI can be like hundreds of dollars that's kind of built into your mortgage. So that's a savings of hundreds of dollars right there. And another thing that makes NACA unique is how they handle interest rates. So they claim to have the lowest interest rates possible. Right now, their lowest interest rate is 4.75% for a 30-year fixed loan, or 3.875% for a 15-year fixed loan. And then on top of that, you can also buy down the interest rate. Other lenders may do this as well, but I think combined with that and all the other benefits that you have, that's what really makes NACA unique. And I've never heard of anything like that has all of those benefits. If you've been watching my channel for a while, you know that I want to use a credit union, and NACA has more benefits even than the credit union that I want to use. Some other things that I want to talk about is that how they categorize people. So it's two different ways, really. You can be low to moderate income or high income, and then you can also be priority or non-priority. So hang with me while I try to figure out how to explain that. So first, let's talk about priority members. So you can be low to moderate income or high income and still be considered priority. So if you're low to moderate income and your priority, that means that your income is 100% or less of the area median income, or AMI, in the MSA where you're purchasing. MSA stands for Metropolitan Statistical Area. Okay, so again, your income is 100% or less of the AMI in the MSA where you're purchasing. Or you can still be priority and be a higher income member purchasing in a lower income neighborhood. And then there's non-priority members. Those are higher income people purchasing in a higher income area. You still get all the other benefits: no down payment, no closing costs, no mortgage, and no PMI, but your interest rate is going to be 1% higher than priority members. But again, like I said, whether you're priority or non-priority, you always have the opportunity to buy down your interest rate. So if you wanted to do a 30-year fixed rate mortgage with NACA, every 1.5% of the loan amount permanently reduces the interest rate by 1/4% or 0.25%. So what does that mean? So let's say, I'm going to use very simple numbers here, but let's say you had a mortgage of $100,000 and you wanted to buy down your interest rate. Let's say your interest rate was 5%. If you came up with 1.5% of the amount of the loan, so that would be $1,500. If you had $1,500 saved, you could use that money to buy down your interest rate and bring your interest rate from 5% down to 4.75%. I hope that makes sense. Again, I was using small numbers just to make the math easy. Your mortgage is probably going to be more than $100,000 unless you're buying in a very low value housing market. But even still, being able to buy down your interest rate by 0.25% can still be a huge savings cost in the long term and in the short term with your monthly mortgage payments. Now, who actually can use NACA? Not investors. So you have to actually be living in the home. This can't be like an investment property for you. You also have to live in the home yourself for the entire time that you have the mortgage. So this is not, don't get this if you're thinking like, oh, I can do an Airbnb out of it. Like, no, like you have to actually be the person living there. Also, when you use NACA, you become a NACA member and you have to participate in like a certain amount of activities. I think it's 5 activities a year to help support NACA. So that can be like going to an event for NACA, sharing something on Instagram for them. You have to do certain things for them throughout the year, basically. It's also a membership, and you do have to pay to be a part of NACA every year, but it's like $25 a year, so it's kind of manageable. You do have to be a registered voter in order to be a NACA member, and you have to adhere to their NACA agreement and NACA policies and procedures. Not really sure what that means, but it was listed on the website, so I thought that I'd include it. But just because NACA has all these benefits doesn't mean that you're just getting a house for free. There are things that you have to pay for. So you have to pay for earnest money, inspection fees, property taxes, homeowners insurance, prepaid interest, and something unique to NACA is the concept of reserves. So they basically don't want you to be house poor, and they also don't want you to have like the shock of a new mortgage payment. Let's say that your interest rate, let's say that when you were renting, your rent was like $1,200 a month, and now when you get this house, your mortgage is going to be like $1,700 a month. They want to know that you're going to be able to handle that $500 difference in housing costs. So they want you to have money saved. They want you to have anywhere from 1 to 6 months of savings. They may want you to have more than 1 to 6 months saved up if you're self-employed or multifamily. I'm not sure what multifamily means, but it was listed on the website, so I just thought to include it. Some other requirements: if you are a W-2 person or someone who gets a W-2, basically people who have like a full-time, just regular type of job, they want you to show 2 years of employment history or 1 solid year of employment and income. If you are self-employed, they want you to have 2 years within the same industry, 2 years of filing taxes, 3 months of reserves, and a cash flow analysis, or 12 months of bank statements. So those are all of the benefits and some of the requirements for being able to use NACA. Now let's talk about some of the cons, because unfortunately, nothing is perfect in life and there's always going to be cons. Number 1, again, I haven't gone through the process, so this is just what I've heard through the internet, basically. But it seems as though using NACA is a very slow process. NACA is not for someone who needs a house like a month from now. This is someone who has time. Okay, you're not in any type of rush, because if you are in a rush, this is not going to work for you. Another thing is, I'm trying to figure out how to actually say this. I feel like I can say this because I've lived through this experience, and I'm not talking about other people. I'm talking about something that I've actually experienced before. But if you have ever gone to the financial aid office at a HBCU, you know that that is a very unique experience, and dealing with NACA is kind of like dealing with the financial aid office at a HBCU. And if you know what that means, you know what that means. If you don't know what that means, the best way that I can explain it to you is kind of like going to the DMV. You have to know exactly what you need to bring. You can't go there and ask a whole bunch of questions. You have to, what's the saying? Like, dot every I, cross every T. You have to have everything perfectly aligned so that when you go there, that you can just hand them your documents and then they can provide a solution for you. But you have to be prepared, because if not, it's going to cause issues. It's really hard to explain unless you've lived through it. The most like common thing that I can think to compare it to is the DMV, but to me it really just felt like the financial aid office at a HBCU. Again, I haven't gone through the whole process, but I did do the very first step. I went to their workshop, which was like a 3-hour Zoom call on a Saturday, and you go through the workshop, and then at the end they give you this code so that you can create an account. Now, this may have been my fault, but when I did the workshop, I was traveling, so I was listening to it. And apparently I missed that you have to stay on the call for the workshop and set up your account at the very end. You can't hang up until you've actually set up your account. I thought that once I got the code that I could just hang up, and then the next day or later that day, this was a Saturday, so I was like, well, on Monday I'll just create my account with the code that they gave me. So Monday came and I created the account and I tried to use the code and it didn't work. And so I called the NACA office and they were like, oh, you had to do it on the phone. And I was like, they never said that. And they were like, yeah, they did. And I was like, I'm almost certain that they never said that you have to stay on the phone and you have to do it on the phone call, because apparently they like disactivate that code once everyone hangs up. And I was like, they didn't say that on the call. And she was like, yeah, they did. And I was like, were you there? Because I'm pretty sure they didn't say it. And I was like, ma'am, is there anything that you can do to help me? And then she's like, no, you have to do this all over again. They don't do the workshops every Saturday. Like, I had to wait an entire month basically to do the workshop again. And I guess it's my fault, but also at the same time, I want, like, I could bet money that they did not say that I had to stay on there. They suggested that you stay on the call to set up the account in case you had any questions, but they never said, we're going to disactivate this code so that you can't create an account after you hang up. They never said that. To this day, I would bet money that they never said that. But my point is, the person that I called was not helpful at all. She also did not care at all. And it's just like very bad customer service in my opinion. So that's why I say, like, you have to come prepared, you have to be on point, and you have to have everything that you need and have it ready to go so that the process can be as smooth as possible. Because if there's something wrong, they will blame you and they will not take any accountability for it. That was my experience, at least. So I had to wait another month and I had to sit through an entire 3-hour presentation on a Saturday morning all over again just to get the code. Because they refused to give me the code, even though they knew that I joined. Anyway, that's my point. That's what I say when it's like a financial aid office at HBCU. And again, if you know, you know exactly what those experiences are like. And if you know what that experience is like and you're shaking your head like, I can't go through that again, then this may not be the program for you. You have to have immaculate levels of patience to be able to deal with them. I can already tell that, and I haven't even truly gone through the process yet. I just did the workshop, and I can already tell it will take immense levels of patience to deal with them. So that's the second con. And the third con, which may be the biggest one, is that certain lenders or realtors or builders rather don't work with NACA, primarily because the process is so slow with NACA compared to other programs. NACA is not the person who NACA is not going to be your lender. They are just your connection with the lender that's going to give you the no down payment and all these other benefits. But because NACA is the middle person, essentially, it really slows down the process. And NACA is notorious for being slow. And there are some builders, so if you want to do a new build, there are some builders who, once they figure out that you're working with NACA, they won't want to work with you. There are some realtors who have had bad experiences with NACA before, and because of that, they won't want to work with you. Or if you're buying from someone and the seller's realtor knows about NACA, they may tell their client, hey, don't buy from them because NACA is going to slow this down. It's going to take more time than it needs to. So for me, that is the biggest con of doing all of this, even if I have, you know, these insane levels of patience to be able to work with them, and I have the time, I'm not in a rush to buy a house. Even if I can deal with those things, there are other people who can't or won't. And I would hate to be in a position where I don't get a house or a property because the other people don't want to work with NACA. I'm not saying that happens all the time or even often. I don't know how often that happens, but I do know that it happens because other people have said it. That's the thing that scares me. So those are the cons. As far as if I'm going to use them, I did this workshop back in March and I haven't proceeded with the process anymore, just because of those things, of me not wanting to deal with those cons. But where things are currently with how high the interest rates are, you know, NACA seems a little more attractive just because I can buy down my interest rate. And I think, I don't think I said it earlier, but I think you can buy down the interest rate up to, the buy down is limited to about 5 to 6% of the mortgage, excluding seller's contribution. So you can buy it down up to 5 or 6% of the mortgage value. So that really can be a cost savings, depending on how much your mortgage is. That can really help you cost savings wise. So it is getting more and more intriguing to me since nationwide interest rates are going up so much. They've gone up a lot since January, and they're probably going to go up even more by the end of the year. So it is something to consider, but it's just, do you want to deal with the cons that or disadvantages that come with working with NACA? Can you deal with that? And that's something that only you can answer, and it's something that only I can answer for myself. And right now, I don't know. Maybe I'll go through the process, maybe I won't. But I just wanted to share this with y'all because I had no idea that they existed until I did. Actually, someone who watches my videos commented and told me about NACA, and then I looked into it. So I just wanted to share in case this is something that anyone else can use. I'll put NACA's website in the description below if you want to check it out. So hope you like this video. Leave some comments down below. Subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you next time.